Delighted.
Sorry.
I'm not saying anything wrong now.
Delighted. I'm recording the session.
Delighted we've got Michael and Paul from the Finance Agency to give us an update as to what they've been doing, where they're looking to do moving forward. But I think actually what they're wanting, what I'm wanting this morning, is it to be quite an interactive session. So please do ask questions as we go along. Also, there's a Slido assuming the technology works. So please do have your technology ready to answer that, because that will be useful. And then from a financial and professional services chamber perspective, we want to know what sort of events you want us to put on. So it's great to have the finance agency here with us today, but there's other parties or other people you think we should be getting in to have a similar forum for, please either drop me a line or I'll be around 10-15 minutes at the end. So please do feed that back to me. But without any further ado, I'm just going to hand over to Michael. Over to you.
Sure, thank you very much for that, and it's fantastic to see so many people here today, so many familiar faces. So welcome, one and all. Yeah, today we're going to have we're going to spend a few minutes. We're going to look at some of our current activity within Finance Alabama, some of our current projects. Give you a bit of an update on those, and then hand over to Paul, who's going to talk about some of the events that we've delivered in the last 12 months. Some of the things we're currently engaged with, and what our plans are for the rest of this year. And in the context of that, I think one of the first things we're going to do, I hope, is show you a video that we prepared last year, which we've shown in different situations around different parts of the world over the last 7 or 8 months, which has been very well received. So, okay, that was something that I won't take any credit for whatsoever. That was Callum and our marketing colleagues. We put that together last year with some volunteers that you saw, but something that we think played very well when we used that in international context, and we got some really positive feedback, particularly in Europe. People who didn't really know much about the Alabama. So we'll come on to that again. Right, we've got a Slido QR code here. Towards the end, we're going to ask some questions, and it'd be great to get your feedback. So if you want to scan that now, you can log into Slido. That's right. And anybody watching online, you can. I think you will have to do the same. So if you want to scan the code, and then we will participate in the polling. We'll put it again later. I think most of you probably know a little bit about Finance Out Loud. We're a public-private partnership within the Department for Enterprise, set up really to work on your behalf, work on behalf of the financial and professional services industry, both externally in terms of promotion of the Out Loud, promotion of the sectors, and internally within government in terms of policy and projects relevant to the sectors. That is our current board, Chamber of Commerce, represented by Stuart here. And I'm sure you'll recognise some of the other faces there too. In terms of our board, there's Sue, our chair, within the team, I'm sure many of you will know Paul, who's with us today, Mike, Simon, so a very, very experienced senior team. Dina and Callum look after us from a marketing perspective. Karen, Laura, Lauren supports us on individual projects. Katrina, Laura and Ethan Keel, I'm sure some of the room will testify. So yeah, vision and mission for Finance Out Loud, as I say, it's really, we're trying to support the enhancement of our sector, develop the sector both in terms of products, promotion and policy aspects within government. Hopefully continuing the fantastic contribution that financial services have made to the Isle of Man for the past 50 years. And in terms of that, this is the last stat. GDP stats are always about 18 months old, but this is the most up-to-date GDP stats we've got. And we talk about, sometimes we talk about other sectors of the economy, other dynamic sectors, growing sectors. We sometimes overlook our own sector. The financial and professional services, 42% of GDP. It's the cornerstone of the economy, and even some of the other sectors that you see highlighted there, they will be without our tax strategy, without the businesses we have in the room today to support them. So very, very important. Certainly, they made the cornerstone of the economy. In terms of jobs, probably a similar outturn there. And the jobs have been relatively static the past number of years. So we're running just over 9,000, and that's 25% of private sector jobs. So 9,100 last count, which was the end of 2021. Interestingly, CSP banking, insurance, roughly the same. Most people working in each sector. So in terms of our current activity, the next few slides, I'm going to highlight some of the areas where we're engaged on your behalf. We're working to support the sector, both within government and externally. So, lots of acronyms. These are areas that where we spend a fair amount of time working on your behalf. Whenever we get any challenges from external bodies such as Moneyval, such as the EU, we're at the heart of that in terms of how we respond. Developments in our regulatory framework. Strange at the moment, international taxation is very relevant in terms of how the Isle is positioned, how we're going to move forward with matters such as that. It's those we ensure that the industry voice, industry views are represented in those discussions. Beneficial ownership, so that's been a hot topic for a number of years, continues to be so, perhaps even more so, bear in mind the events of the last few months. Our board, our industry trade bodies and bodies such as the Chamber of Commerce, means that we can provide a level of initial industry engagement and any discussions on these matters, and we're also assisting on a practical level at the moment. So always engaged on this in terms of design of government systems that are designed to respond to matters such as this and input to changing standards. Free trade agreements, that's an interesting one, so a relatively new one for us. Post-Brexit world is provides some opportunities for that. Previously, we didn't really have access to the EU as a market, or certainly not for financial services. But we do have the opportunity to be included in any role of the UK's free trade agreements, which are negotiated with jurisdictions around the world. And that is that perhaps doesn't provide an opportunity right now, or an obvious opportunity right now, but you never know whether those will be useful in the future. So to be perfectly honest, my approach to those is the default is that we should be in, if possible. So that's a good reason why we should potentially step away from them. They are enormously complicated documents, but we progress with that. And actually, I think we have presented to some specific industry groups in areas where we think their jurisdictions or areas of particular interest to them, and we'll continue to do that, I think, over the coming years as more jurisdictions become engaged with us on that. Post-Brexit will also actually now provide some opportunities for our insurance sector. I was in London last week, actually, with a meeting with Treasury officials in London around some specific insurance opportunities, which was very good to do, and hopefully provide some opportunities for us moving forward. Insolvency, the final on there, I'll mention that a little bit in detail. Insolvency legislation in the Isle of Man is thought to be, well, it's very old, and it's very much subject to review at the moment. It has been reviewed a number of times in the past decades, and that hasn't really delivered any meaningful change. So we volunteered to bring together a working party of practitioners, accountants, lawyers, insolvency practitioners. We've also got colleagues from the FSA and the Treasury to work with us on this on a collective basis. It is a complex area, but I think we're making good progress on that. I think all parties are really positive about the fact that we're doing that on a collective basis, which probably which is very useful, and perhaps a big break for future changes as well. Okay. Okay, on this slide, there's 3 other areas where we are working collectively across government. Some of you will know about we recently got involved in projects around community banking, access to cash, banking facilities, banking in the community. We've got some specific actions coming out of that, and we're working with our colleagues in the banking sector and in parts of the island to see how we can take forward some aspects of that and move forward. So, things like the provision of ATMs in different towns, like Northampton, things like that, certainly on the agenda. I'll skip to sustainable finance first. Sustainable finance, obviously, very interesting, very written before in many of our areas, and many of the businesses in this room I know have their own products, their own offers in the space. This is an area where we don't really have a cohesive government position. So we've actually commissioned a piece of work recently. We're trying to bring different strands of that together in terms of what we can do collectively as a man's policy in that space. I'll skip back to innovation. Innovation is an interesting subject. We often talk about innovation as if it's something new, a new concept. But I think within this room, within the financial and professional services community, I think we've probably seen more in the way of innovation in our sector than probably any other part of the Isle of Man, certainly throughout my career. I think our business processes and our methods of delivery probably would change fundamentally every 5 or 10 years. So innovation isn't new to our world. We can't sit still, and kind of the pace of change is accelerating, particularly around new technology. We're working with our colleagues in Digital Isle of Man and the FSA on 2 specific projects There's an innovation challenge that we're working towards being announced this year. Well, it was announced last year, but there's a concept that we're trying to build that into a project that will run for the rest of this year. And also the concept of an innovation hub where we can collectively support businesses with new technologies or products that are outside the mainstream of our current regulated sector. Both of those are very exciting. I look forward to sharing more on those projects shortly. But the most exciting aspect of our own work as finance element in this space is our Insure Tech project. We took the decision that our first significant fintech project should be based in our largest single sector. I'll go on to that in a few minutes' time. But my final observation in this section, in terms of the work we're doing across government on your behalf in this area, is around one of our biggest challenges, which is skills and workforce. We'll put the slide up again about the number of jobs. Just the constant challenge that we have in terms of recruitment and finding people to fill job vacancies. Now we represent roughly 25% on the average, 5% of jobs for as long as I can remember. Recruitment, especially recruitment of skilled staff, has been a real challenge. And some of my friends in this room can tell me it's never been as hard as it is now. Now on this slide, I have this is a chart showing the number of vacancies that are listed on the jobs board at the job centre. This is adjusted for obvious duplicates, but this is only the jobs that are listed in the job centre, so this probably isn't all the jobs at the moment, so it doesn't account for the potential for growth. Now, you might see the scale at the back, but the dip is around the time of the first lockdown, which is understandable. But the most current figures we've got February 22, when it was touching 370 vacancies at the time. As I say, that's just those that are advertised at the job centre. I mean, and we've never had more jobs being advertised in our group. So, two actions that we have coming out of that. We have within Finance Ireland and other industry volunteers, we've brought together a working group that looks at some of the longer term challenges in this space. We've committed to a cross-agency, cross-department work on a broader workforce strategy, workforce and skills strategy for the Isle of Man, which is scheduled to go to the July Timberland, which aspects of that are. And we're also, when I wrote this, I said we're putting together the finishing touches, 2 campaigns to highlight specifically opportunities for young professionals in the compliance space and the accounting space. That actually overtaken by events because that was launched yesterday. That campaign. Now, some of you in the room may well have been contacted by us within the last couple of weeks at the Locate Talent portal, which is the method that we're going to use to deliver to highlight service jobs to an international audience. So if you haven't been, then by all means let me know, and I'll make sure you're on this map. But the talent portal is the way we're going to showcase the Isle of Man and showcase job opportunities to international applicants. Now, two of our specific projects on the next area. Starting with this one, employee benefits. This initiative spawned out of a review we had of the pensions sector at the end of 2020. And there's a couple of aspects. I think, unless you're involved in day to day, there's a few aspects of our financial services industry which kind of operate under the radar. You might not actually be aware of just how strong they are. The pensions industry is one of those. As part of this review, we discovered that there was a demand for a cross-border proposition for employee benefits for a variety of reasons, which are highlighted there. But in terms of provision of the service, across our industry, bring together our businesses, we fulfill many of the individual components of the employee benefit provision. If you move to the next slide. So to deliver employee benefits proposition, payroll companies, accounting, tech, pensions, fiduciary, legal, everything that you need to provide that service we have in spends here on the Isle of Man. So we started this project, and perhaps just to illustrate the strength we have here. Of all international pension plans established, and this is all of them, all international trust-based pension plans. Last count, the most recent Willis Towers Watson survey, that 67% of them were established on the Isle of Man. That's up from 63%. Previous report, so we have real strength in this area. It's great, and one of the key reasons for that the strength of our regulatory and governance framework. The only jurisdiction where the pension scheme administrator and pension scheme itself is in themselves are independently regulated. So what we're working on is bringing these services together into a cluster that we can promote on behalf of the Isle of Man. So this was backed. So we want to bring together that cluster. This is the timeline we've got. So we had a fair amount of funding from the Economic Recovery Fund just about a year ago. So this project is being essentially run from the governance perspective by an industry working group. So some members of my team and principally industry participants who are working on this. We have subgroups working on specific activities. We've got an independent report on specific aspects of that. And really, what we're doing now is really looking to go to market with this at the end of 2022. Develop the Isle of Man cluster, and also with the first jurisdiction, which is to set their own branch of the International Employee Benefits Association. And that doesn't sound like it. Yeah, that's fantastic. We're the only jurisdiction who's going to do that themselves, and that gives us good links into that market. So looking forward to doing that. Yeah, we should hear much more about that towards the end of quarter two. Okay, sure, Seth, we'll be pleased that this is my last bit. It's much more direct. I think we should said at the start that having said any questions on this, I know I can rattle through it because I've got conscious time and then one of you started it. If anybody just want to ask me for any of this, after the event, I'd be very happy to chat in more detail. Right, SureTech. So SureTech, essentially a subset of fintech. The potential for fintech is vast. The next slide. It made perfect sense. I mean, I mentioned before, insurance is one of our largest sectors. In fact, insurance is the biggest single sector in terms of contribution to GDP, biggest by some way. So it made perfect sense for us to say if we're going to do a big project around fintech, that's centric in the insurance industry. So there's a ready market, there's already group of businesses and skills who can support that. So there's the strength of our sector makes us a natural home for this kind of business. So in terms of the benefits, the market opportunity. The market opportunity for fintech is estimated to be $16 billion by 2025. So that's obviously fantastic. If we get just the Isle of Man operates in international markets, we'll just need a small slice of this business. So a small slice of that would be very nice indeed. You've got the benefits on the slide. Natural, yeah. So we think we're the natural home to do this, and we've had that endorsed by some third-party experts that we have engaged on this as well. So a combination of our own innovation in spades in our insurance industry. That's developed amazingly over the last 50 years. So again, we've got a working group together to deliver that, and the industry working together very well on that. What's it going to do? It's going to help protect, develop, grow our largest sector. Jobs, skills. There's a whole bunch of reasons why we should do this, but also one of the perhaps more important ones is that we feel that any fintech solution in the insurance space will be very easily accessed by the rest of the financial services, because there's not fundamental differences between different types of services in our world. So it's a springboard into a wider fintech proposal for that world. In terms of the timeline for this, so funding improved last year, soft launch at the end of 2021. Some of our we've got a slide in a second about all the collaborations we're doing. But we've got a big training project that's going to be launched shortly, and one thing we're very excited about is the accelerator program, where we've actually got an opportunity to bring European fintech companies or SureTech companies to the Isle of Man to incubate them and to help them grow in this space with our insurance businesses. I'll mention some of the collaborations we've got here. Yeah, Code Plan is the training organisation. They currently work with FinTech in Scotland. Scotland insurance is quite big in Scotland. They work with a 3-month cohort model where they take people from existing businesses and give them specific skills in this world, in the digital world, the tech world. We've already got life companies now who are willing to sponsor their employees through this program. So we agreed to run that through Department for Education College, and that will be won't be insurance specific. It will be open for other businesses and areas. Skills training as well. This is owned by this company is owned by the Swiss Stock Exchange. They have hundreds of applicants to a cohort, a development program they run in Switzerland. They take the top 10 the applicants they get, and they incubate them, give them office space, and try to do expert mentoring in Switzerland. So they're happy to work with us because they get hundreds of applicants every year. They take the top 10. So it's fairly obvious how our conversation goes to the next 10. So that's really that was the genesis of that discussion. So we're very excited about InsurTech. As I said, there's a lot more that can be said about all of these. We shall wrap through a lot, so happy to take questions at any time. Hand over to Mr. Blake. Talk about events and capital. Thank you.
Morning, everybody. Those of you that don't know me, my name is Paul White. I'm head of banking and fiduciaries for Finance Isle of Man. My professional background is corporate banking, legal services, and fiduciary sector. So, clearly, my two main segments here, banking. We have a strong and well-established banking environment on the island. 11 banking groups, 37 billion in deposits, wide range of banking services, and around 2,000 people employed. The fiduciary sector, again, very well-established sector on the island. Corporate trust, admin services, kind of the cornerstone of the local economy. Around 70 licensed entities, providing employment for well over 2,000 people. So, as Michael kind of alluded to, I think in his earlier slide, the purpose of Finance Isle of Man as an agency is to promote and develop the Isle of Man's significant financial and professional services industry, and to ensure that it's recognised as an international financial centre of excellence. So we have, and we continue to work hard in increasing our reach and recognition in key markets, Europe, South Africa, the Middle East, Far East, and South America. Our different sectors, I guess, have different requirements and a different focus in their different markets. So, for example, some of our life insurance companies and fiduciaries have interests in South America. We have banking and fiduciary interests in South Africa and the Middle East. So it's sort of quite different in those key markets. 2021, which seems an awful long time ago, right? Saw the opening up of in-person events after nearly 2 years of either no events or virtual events because of the COVID pandemic. These events for us were initially committed to back in 2019, 2020, with the intention that we would go ahead in 2020 and throughout 2021. But obviously COVID got in the way of this. Organisers of these events were very keen to get them back up and running. So we found ourselves in a situation where all these events were shoehorned into the back end of 2021. And the events included, as you can see there, the London Family Office and High Net Worth Conference, which was in November, which brought together a number of individuals, entrepreneurs, families, at which we had a speaking slot. And that event did result in a number of inquiries, which was very good. We sponsored and attended a number of PCD events, private dining club, in London, Manchester, Zurich, Geneva, Dubai. And the format of these events does enable us to get our message across to a number of professionals and advisors. And they're normally attended by well in excess of 100 people. The PCD London event in September was one of the first in-person events in London after the sort of lockdown ended, and that was attended by the Chief Minister, who spoke at the event. Feedback was really encouraging. Trans Trust, again, kind of one of the year's most important gatherings for trust professionals, both practitioners and legal advisors. It was the 35th event, and it was attended by well over 100 people and had a multitude of expert speakers. Step Arabia attended that in November 21, and again brought together over 100 advisors from all over the world, Canada, Crown dependencies, obviously, Singapore, Switzerland, UK, UAE, and the wider Middle East. My colleagues Simon Pickering and Mike Beatty attended the Insurance Innovators Conference in London, which was an important event for the, as Michael mentioned, InsurTech project. And similarly, FinTech Scotland was also a key event where the Isle of Man InsurTech project team was able to partner with the Scottish FinTech cluster to exemplify what the Isle of Man is doing in this space. So again, a really key event for us. Feedback, feedback is very important, and we try and get some different kinds of feedback when we attend events. Some of it's quantitative in nature. Some of the important feedback is qualitative. So as you can read on the slide there, some nice feedback. A key one there at the top about learning something about the island, which goes back to one of our sort of key objects in terms of our what agency is here for. And then they'd be inclined to use it more as a jurisdiction, so that's great. Next one. 2022, we are, so nearly halfway through the year already. Time is gone very quickly. So there's events that we've already done, and there are events that we are going to do, and that we're sort of speaking to industry about. PCD events, again, we will be attending events in London, Manchester, and possibly Geneva. The London Family Office and High Net Worth Conference, again in London, we'll be attending that. We'll be looking at STEP conferences, the flagship event, the Global Congress in London. We'll be there taking an exhibition stand. We're keen to explore with STEP as well other conferences, other regional conferences. Not clearly London is exceptionally important, but obviously we feel that there are the regions throughout the UK, Birmingham, Manchester, Leeds, Edinburgh, Belfast, are really important. And again, obviously not in the UK, but Dublin as well. There are opportunities for us in those locations. In conjunction with industry, we're looking at STEP Asia. That's been a bit tricky because it was supposed to be taking place in Hong Kong, which we all know has got its own issues at the moment. But it looks like it might be moving to Singapore. So again, we will talk with industry and see about the merits of attending that. We've recently supported a group of Isle of Man businesses on their delegation to South Africa in March this year, meetings, seminars, presentations in 4 locations in South Africa. Finance supported that delegation, very successful trip, and we're looking to sort of follow that up possibly later in this year and plans are afoot for doing that. My colleagues Michael and Simon attended last week the II Connect event in London and received some great feedback at that. I'm looking to support the sort of Global InsurTech Summit again and the International Investment Middle East Forum. And as Michael said earlier, we are keen to be at the events that industry thinks we should be at. So, if you've got anything in mind that you think it's important that we are there to support, then get in touch with me, get in touch with Michael, drop us an email, pick up the phone, knock on the door. Always very welcome. Thoughts, ideas, always very welcome. Campaign. So, with our colleagues in our marketing team, Callum and Dean and the guys there, we've had a number of international campaigns running in 2021. Natural Choice campaign was a jurisdictional campaign showcasing the island as an international financial centre of choice, and it focused on the UK and South African markets. And as you can see, the kind of imagery and messaging that we're using, just that one, this end one there is the limestone. I don't know, it's the limestone that's on the floor of St Paul's Cathedral is actually Manx, which is, I really didn't know that. Obviously, Manx honeybees, world-renowned, quality of honey, Tynwald, longest continuous parliament in the world, and this plays really well to the jurisdictions that we were looking at, UK and South Africa, and also the Queen Scarborough. So it's just the imagery that we were using to exemplify the island. In that campaign, we worked very closely with industry to produce content, and a wide range of content was produced, whether that was written content, spoken content, multimedia content. We did all of that. Interestingly, we also did a podcast series within that, and that was pushed out onto Spotify, iTunes, and all the other podcast providers.
Which ones are those?
Remember they are. Callum will tell you all about that. It's available after. I think we're getting on the wireless as well. So that was something that we kind of hadn't particularly done before, and some of the figures were really interesting. Obviously, given that our campaign was targeted in the UK and South Africa, 60% of the downloads of those podcasts were done in South Africa, which is good because that's what we were targeting. And people like Mr. Klukas, a good podcast face, he and others contributed really well. It was a really good series, and those podcasts are still available. Click on our website and you can look at them. So good, in fact, we are looking to a new series. So anybody who fancies contributing to a podcast or any other content that we are looking to, always wanting content.
Paul was part of the invite today. I think everybody attended today was given that permission to be.
Yeah, possibly right. Small bit. So we shall. Really good early darts. It's such a good impression. So like I said, content is really key because it really helps us sort of exemplify what we're trying to do. And the more that we get from industry, obviously, the better it is. Thanks, Carl. The other campaign was the Captive campaign. This was an award-winning campaign, and it was a successful collaboration with industry, with working groups, a widespread cooperative approach, and captives. The feedback from the captive sector, there was an uptick in business, which was fantastic. We had an international pension campaign, similar to a natural choice and the captive campaign in the sense that very collaborative, and we work very closely with industry. As Michael said, that Willis Towers Watson survey, 67% of trust-based pensions were in the Isle of Man. This campaign, contributes to keeping the island at the top of the tree in that sector. And I think what we might have to do, given that we were so successful, possibly recalibrate our baseline in terms of our expectations, in terms of campaign delivery versus targets. Never in our wildest dreams did we think we would achieve those figures. So, these figures kind of become our new baselines, which is great. Excellent. And we won 2 awards, which is always nice. Best International Financial Centre 2021, which is brilliant. And the captive campaign won the International Campaign of the Year, which all credit to Callum and Dina and the marketing team. Absolutely fantastic, and for everybody who contributed to it. So that's me. I think I'm going to hand over to Callum for technology, Slido, all those things. So I think if you clicked on the Bobby back up, click on the QR code thing. It's technical language now. QR code thing, and then it comes onto your phone. You can answer the questions on the phone, and Callum will put the results up. And I'll hand over back to Mike. Thank you.
Well, this is speaking of, I think we'll finish with those 2 awards, and yeah, I mean that's we obviously work on those, put those campaigns together, but those awards really are a recognition of our sector and the strength and quality of our sector. So thanks everyone for helping us put those together. Okay, Paul, would you do a song? So what we're going to do, here we go. So yeah, what we're going to do, in fact, you can probably see these questions on your phone. You can leave on the screen. It's really, so the first one. Where do you see opportunities for your business on the Isle of Man? So I think as I said, of course, all of our projects are really done in conjunction with industry. We want to do the things that you want to see us doing. So where do you see opportunity on the Isle of Man? There's a few options there, and the winner by sudden margin is fintech innovation. Oh, hang on, digital assets coming up on there. It's like a horse race. Sustainable finance, obviously, yeah, very good. Okay, that's it. Interesting. Fintech innovation still out there at the front. Okay, very, very good. I think that's probably everyone's had a chance to have a look at that. So, what's the next one? We're going to collate all these. Most of the within series industry engagements at the moment. I think we'll collate all the results of these, but we'll write those and publish them in a summary. Okay, so just slightly more negative. What's the principal challenge? What's the principal challenge facing your business? I wasn't trying to lead the witness here, but I think I know what might be. Actually, earlier in the spring when we first did this, travel and airbags had more votes, but obviously we've now got routes to London. Has anybody taken advantage of that city or Heathrow?
Yeah, very works really well.
Yeah. I did Heathrow last week. So well. I think we have a clear winner here. The handicapping system with our horse race board didn't work on this one. The recruitment of skilled staff is smashed out of the park. That's probably a perfect way to it. Yeah, well, that's as I said, the campaign launched yesterday. So please get that. If your business can get involved in that and supporting that, then that would be good to see. Okay, next question is what's the most important current market for your business? And this is one which is interesting. I'd be interested to get the results today because obviously different sector groups have different areas of focus here. Looks like we haven't got, it's challenging questions to explore that one. The clear winner seems to be the Isle of Man. Okay, so more domestic business, which is fine. That's good. Thank you for that. We've got 2 more questions. Okay, so where do you see growth opportunities for your business? So that's a little bit more evenly spread. What's works for South Africa? Okay. Okay, that's good. Seems like just did some significant investment to South Africa. I think we had some votes for that. Good to have correlation. Very good. Okay, thank you for that. And the final question. Again, this is more an interesting one, really, in terms of the kind of things that we want to put which we're promoting. So, which current product suite is most relevant to your business? This has worked very well. Sometimes it hasn't worked very well. But it's worked very well today. Comments on very good tech. Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you very much for that. We'll going to play to those results and we'll do an article on those and use that sort of people said in terms of feedback we've got. Okay, so that's us. So as I said, any questions at any time, you know where we are. If you next, Stuart have contact details for any of those.
Still got 5 minutes.
Any burning questions for that?
Can you just talk a bit more about the MOU signed with Scotland, FinTech Scotland? I'd just be interested to see what, to understand what the benefits of the Isle of Man are with that.
Sure. Yeah, the InsurTech world, or the FinTech world, it's been fascinating getting to understand that in more detail. And it's very collaborative. What we found is that there's quite a few jurisdictions who are active in this space. And it's a bit like a jigsaw. Some people have got certain pieces and they're missing other pieces, and vice versa. So what we found, we were introduced to Scotland actually by one of our advisors. They have quite a lot of insurance business in Scotland, quite a lot of fintech businesses in Scotland, but no, not really anyone in the insurtech space. So that was seen as an area where we could dovetail. They were keen to work to speak to us, work with us. But they were keen to introduce us to some of the fintech businesses in Scotland, to see if they have markets in the Isle of Man. So I mean the MOU is really just it's not. It's really just an agreement that we continue to work together for mutual support, and particularly with that area, it's a fascinating space where the one that introduced to us is FinTech Israel. Again, where they don't really have a huge presence in the insurance world, but they have quite a lot of fintech businesses who might be interested in work with us in that way. But it was it's really happy to have got agreement in Scotland.
The other question?
I've got one question. Do you, lots of events that we're participating in, are you able to track and do we track the level of new business flows that fall off the back of the events that we're participating in?
That is that is a great question. It's one where to be perfectly honest, we've looked at it in different ways over the last few years, because in the sense that when we go to the prime dining event, and it's we're in with us in September. So I think we had some 30 banks businesses represented in the room, 150 guests who are accountants, tax advisors, lawyers, and high net worth space. So we don't operate a sales funnel in terms of corralling feedback. Equally, as you all know, we get for our contact of one of those events to turn into a new business might take 6 months, might take 9 months. So really, what we do track things like redom stats and corporation stats. But one of the principal things we've done with the Manx businesses who joined us and attended those events is a chancellor survey immediately after the event, and we do that again 6 months later after the event to great event the week after later. And we can back to any business to do track that way. So we haven't got in our financial services world, we can't actually easily point to pieces of business that come directly from that event. Our aim is that would contribute to your businesses, the activity. It's a puzzle that helps you secure a piece of business.
Yeah. It's really useful to do some 6 to 9 month follow-up surveys, etc.
That's the plan now, and if anybody has any other suggestions on how we can do that, that'd be very well. So that's something
Certainly, I think as a board, we wrestled with how do you, because most of the board from private industry, and we would have a sales funnel, direct contact, you'd be measuring your, clicks on your social media, plus also business written. I think the challenge is because they don't control the sales funnel, that's much more difficult. So anyway, we can get more qualitative data, quantitative data is helpful. So that 6 months one, I think, could be, because I would probably give most businesses a reasonable understanding as to whether there's serious business leads coming out of it, or whether there was just a nice time and some contacts made. So hopefully we can get some more, but it's one of the real challenges.
I realise it's a real challenge. I just think it's one that's really worthwhile.
All of the campaign related things and some of the marketing that goes around the events with Callum and metrics around that, which
and certainly we're mindful we will have to compete in government spend with some of the other agencies where they perhaps got more immediate matrix. So, visitor economy, how many people come to the port of the airport, so some of those got more quantitative data straight away. So the more we can do to get better at that, I think the better for the industry. Just mindful of time, and so
hopefully a very short answer to it. The insolvency change to the Insolvency Act, we do expect those changes, all those processes to be finished.
To be finished is probably to be finished in terms of the legislative perspective, is probably a couple of years. We're looking at releasing a consultation document, that's policy questions. Certainly no later than the end of June this year. So that with the legislative program, legislative timescale, that's going to take a bit of time. But what we're prioritising in terms of timeliness is changes to the winding up rules, because we can do those fairly easily. Because that's not one legislation. So but there will be a consultation coming out of that in the next couple of weeks.
So thank you very much, Paul. Thank you very much, Michael. It's been a great insight to what the finance agency is doing. From a chamber point of view, I'm really keen to understand what other things we can do to help you grow your businesses, whether it's future presentations of partnerships or other things. I'll be around for a few minutes afterwards, or drop me a line through Bex. But you can just join me in giving Michael a round of applause. Thank you.
Yeah, some people don't have that potential out yet,
The spinal thing's always coming. Just a bit of involvement. Just said to have a couple of people who asked to use the video for a group presentation. Yeah, be very open for that. Yeah, absolutely. It's a great video.
That would have been useful. So, yeah.
The only question I think is slightly geo-jurisdiction as to where your purpose is. Because for me, the fact I've got to say old man there, so usually chasing old man. They don't get their business.
No, but for them, they'll answer the question differently.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, simply because of an awful lot of people who are sort of some extent delicate chains.
Yeah.
Then
You're right.
we need to go within the wild man purpose as an international purpose because we're not going.
Yeah, you're right. But when we've done this, that question, for example, in the SSP.
Yeah, would be.
So,
Yeah.
So, you're right, but it's mindful, there's goals.
Yeah, so just mindful when you start to interpret and extrapolate data.
Yeah, what we're trying to do is keep it segmented.
Yeah.
So we're saying that in the visual, into the wider human commerce range of businesses. The legal services, again, was an interesting one. Those guys, because some of them are very high street. Bigger firms got a investment focus.
I seem to go well.
Yes, yeah, very well. Thank you for having us. I enjoyed that. It's good.
Okay.
You're welcome, Callum.
No worries.
and replace a lot. And I know you said about to introduce it to clients, which is great. One thing I would say was in 2 years actively working with it doesn't provide it. Doesn't provide it. You know, I know the shortage. Actually, they're paid. I know for and I know it's phenomenal. That's all I know. Especially the slide the locate portal is more subject to.